Good evening. My name is Dezeta Gatlin, and welcome to my interpersonal communications project. Next slide. Stewart accurately describes communication as the continuous, complex, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. Next slide. What is listening? Burley Allen defines effective listening as the process of receiving information from speakers, other people, or ourselves in a non judgmental and emphatic way, responding to the talker in such a manner that fosters a continuing flow of communication, providing to some degree inspiring yet limited amounts of input towards the talker's response in order to carry the conversation to the next level. Next slide. My overarching goal, it is my desire to become an effective and supportive, emphatic listener that cultivates an open dialogue amongst my family and peers where they are able to freely express their opinions and ideas in a way that is meaningful and purposeful, bringing honor and glory to God. Next slide. I can enlarge the conversation as an emphatic listener by implementing nexting, noted by Stewart as responding to what has happened and expanding the conversation flow to the next step. According to Stewart, emphatic listening allows an individual to better understand the other person fully and thoroughly. Next slide. Some of my positive personality traits or strengths would be that I am friendly, dependable, quiet, laid back. I'm a peacemaker and loyal. Next slide. I am also cautious, inquisitive, caring, and non-confrontational. Next slide. Some of my negative personal traits, which can be described as weaknesses, can be that I am passive, moody, critical, fault-finding attitude, pessimistic, lacks assertiveness, too detail-oriented, indecisive, and a people pleaser. Next slide. Also, continue with the negative traits would be lacks aggressiveness, worries too much at times, and my behavioral blend. Next slide. Which is based on a uniquely you personality test by Mel Carbonell, and it is using the 4 quadrants of the DISC personality module. D, active task oriented. I, active people oriented. S, passive people oriented. C, passive task oriented. Next slide. On my test, I am under the steady competent type, which is the S/C types, who are stable and contemplative types. We like to search and discover the facts. We like to weigh the evidence and proceed slowly to a logical conclusion. We enjoy small groups of people and do not like to speak in front of large crowds. We are systematic and sensitive to the needs of others, but can be critical and caustic. We are loyal friends, but can be too fault-finding. We need to improve our enthusiasm and optimism. We are motivated by kind and conscientious opportunities to slowly and correctly do things. Next slide. Under the behavior blends again, competent influencing specialist, I am a C/I/S type that likes to do things right, impress others, and stabilize situations. We're not aggressive or pushy individuals. We enjoy large and small crowds. We are good with people and prefer quality. We are sensitive to what others think about us and our work. We need to be more determined and dominant. We can do things well, but are poor at quick decision making. We are capable of doing great things through people, but need to be more self-motivated and assertive. Next slide. Continuing, we are stimulated by sincere, enthusiastic approval and logical explanations. The midline I under this model suggests listening better could improve my influence amongst others. Next slide. Under the Queendom's communication test skill test, I scored 88 out of 100 for insightfulness, which simply means that I have a keen sense or awareness of what others feel or think, and I'm empathetic. I can relate. Communication barriers would be number one, hearing words but not really listening. Burley Allen states level 2 listeners tend to listen logically, focus more on the content than feelings, are emotionally detached from the conversation. A solution to this barrier could be, as Burley Allen proposes, the uses of nonverbal cues to assist with figuring out what is going on between the talker and the listener, what we hear, the talker and the listener, as we tend to interpret what we hear and see through our own internal filtering of experiencing. Next slide. Barrier number 2 would be listening in spurts. According to Burley Allen, this level 3 listener is faking attention while focusing on unrelated matters, making judgments, forming rebuttals or advice, or preparing what to say next. Solution 2 would be to become aware of certain emotional Latin words referred to as red flag or buzzwords that ignite strong feelings, thereby creating a barrier to emphatic listening. Next slide. Barrier number 3 would be the flat brain syndrome. Peterson uses this syndrome to explain what takes place when our emotional systems have gone haywire, affecting the stomach, heart, head, and flat brain tango. And solution number 3 would be to clarify thinking, reduce emotional disturbance, build up the friendship, and increase confidence. Next slide. Identifying and describing noise pollution. What is noise pollution? Noise pollution or noise is unwanted or disturbing sound according to the Environmental Protection Agency. Communication involves a sender transmitting a message to a recipient who then decodes and interprets that message. This means that there are multiple points in the communication process where misinterpretation and distraction are possible. Next slide. Okay. There are certain barriers to effective communications that every organization faces. These potential interruptions of the flow of information are referred to as noise. Next slide. Internal noise pollution is inward distractions that prevent us from listening and hearing effectively. Examples can be boredom, tiredness, times of day, and daydreaming. Next slide. External noise pollution is outward distractions that can prohibit good communication. External noise pollution examples include speakers' appearance, mannerisms, word pressures, room temperatures, and loud noises. Next slide. My plan of action to my overarching goal would be to sharpen my interpersonal communication skills as a level 1 listener. I will utilize my active listening skills to fully devote my attention to the speaker without distractions or preconceived notions. Be mindful of my body language and maintain good eye contact, nonverbal cues. Show interest using non-committal acknowledgments, "Oh, I see," "Really," "You did," etc. Record speakers' main ideas. Maintain an open mind and use paraphrasing to clarify questions. Evaluate speakers' content, but the delivery. Next slide. In conclusion, I will utilize all of the information presented in this course to aid me in becoming a level 1 listener. According to Burley Allen, learning the art of effective listening can be used to solve problems, reduce stress, facilitate cooperation, promote communication, develop cognition, and enhance self concept. Perfecting my emphatic listening skills, I will help the speaker develop more confidence, self worth, dignity, and respect. The end.